I have seen so many people on social media getting a color analysis. And if you don't know what that is, a color analysis is a way to find the colors that best bring out your features. To start off, you have to find your undertones, and the options here are warm, cool, and neutral undertones. And apparently a way to check your undertones is to check the color of your veins on your wrist. If your veins are green, you probably have warm undertones. If your veins are blue, you probably have cool undertones. And if you have a mix of both, you probably have neutral undertones. And apparently another factor is that warm undertones tan while cool undertones burn easier. And apparently gold jewelry looks better on warm undertones, while silver jewelry looks better on cool undertones. So the actual color analysis is divided into 4 seasons: spring, summer, autumn, and winter. The spring color palette features warm, bright, light colors with yellow undertones. So think pinks, baby blues, fresh greens. And apparently this one tends to suit people with lighter hair and lighter eyes better. So some key shades are coral, turquoise, green apple, and golden yellow. The second color palette is summer, and this is less bright than spring. It's more muted and cool tone. So think blue, raspberry pink, and this tends to suit people with blonde or ashy hair and people with blue or green eyes with cooler undertones. And then the autumn palette features rich earthy tones. So think rust orange and forest green. This tends to suit people with darker skin and warmer undertones and warm hair and eyes. Some key colors are soft blues, cool pinks, lavenders, soft grays, and cocoa browns. And then the last color palette is winter, and these colors are more bold and cool. So it features a lot of deep shades of blue, green, and purple. This tends to suit people with darker hair and eyes and lighter skin, and skin with pink or blue undertones. So the key colors here are sharp black, stark white, icy blues, royal purples, and ruby red. Basically think all the gemstones. Now, the 4 overarching seasons can be divided into 12 subseasons, and spring gets divided into bright, true, and light, and summer gets divided into light, true, and soft, and autumn gets divided into soft, true, and deep, and winter gets divided into deep, cool, and clear. So a color analysis is basically done by draping fabrics of varying colors to see which ones look good and which ones maybe don't as much. And they should be done in natural light with no makeup and your hair pulled back. I am very curious to do my color analysis. Again, I'm not going to know exactly which colors look the best. I'm kind of just guessing because I'm not a professional. And I will try to be objective, but I do have my own predictions and my own hopes. Starting off, I do think I'm a cool undertone. The veins on my wrist are blue, and I do own a majority of silver jewelry, and also I do burn more easily than I tan. So I would say I skew more cool. And I think I am, or rather I hope I am, an autumn, because I love my browns and I love wearing greens because they bring out the color of my eyes. The problem is, after learning about the seasons, autumn is one that should not actually fit me. So I hope with the 12 sub-seasons I can find a version of autumn that works for me. Or rather, I'm not trying to fit into one of these seasons. I want to find my natural season. So fingers crossed it just so happens to be one of the autumns. And then the color palette that I would least like to be is winter, I think. I just don't think that those colors would look good on me. I don't really wear bold colors like that. So if I was winter, I would be very surprised. But truthfully, given my closet, I do think I will be in autumn. It is time for the actual analysis, and this is by no means scientific. This is my clothing rack that I binder clipped a white sheet of fabric to, and I'm not wearing any makeup other than a little bit of eyebrow pencil. The way that I have gone about this is I took all kinds of different shades of different colors out of my closet, and then based on the information and the charts and the visuals that I could find online, I determined if they were spring, summer, autumn, or fall colors. And now I'm going to try swatching them to see if maybe there is a particular season that does consistently look better on me, but I'm not holding out too much hope. I really don't know how real this is. Like, I think there's something to it, which is why I want to try. To briefly sum up how I classified my clothing pieces, if it was cool and clear, it was winter. If it was cool and muted, it was summer. If it was warm and muted, then it was autumn. And if it was warm and clear, then it was spring. So I guess without further ado, let's get started with red. So because I only sourced out of my closet, I don't have all the seasons in every single color. So for red, I only have 3 pieces to try, and 2 of them are summer and 1 is winter. So I won't be considering spring or autumn. But I figured if once I've gone through all the colors and all the different shades, if there's a season that keeps sticking out to me, I'll figure that out regardless. But like I mentioned, this is totally a work in progress. So if you are also looking to do an at-home color analysis, fingers crossed that I do come up with some sort of result, and then this can basically act as a tutorial, I suppose. And I obviously have my white closet downstairs that I can film in front of, but I didn't have good natural lighting, so that's why I've got my little makeshift station here. For red, the summer shades are these two, this little top and also this skirt. So in theory, I think both of these shades should look equally good on me or equally bad because they're from the same season. Okay, so I can't really determine if there is a difference in my skin at all. It's at least not that noticeable that I'm picking it up in the mirror. I don't think it brings out my rosacea that much more than just like how it's already out. So in this case, I guess summer red gets my stamp of approval. Maybe it will make more sense once I compare it to a different shade. So this one is winter, and I can already tell you that I much prefer to wear those shades of red than I do this one. So let's see if it actually looks different on my skin tone at all. Sometimes in those color analysis videos, I see them put the colors next to each other. So I don't know, but I do think there is a difference in my skin tone. I think the cardigan brings out the redness in my cheeks more than at least this little top does. So since I'm only comparing summer and winter for red, I think summer wins. I do not have a lot of orange and yellow in my closet, so I unfortunately only have one shade to test out for each color. And for orange, I have this top, and I've determined that this is an autumn. Okay, these results are incredibly inconclusive because it's even harder when I don't have anything to compare it to. I would say it looks fine on me, but then again, we know I have that bias because I think that I'm going to be an autumn. So, truly, for orange, I'm just going to say inconclusive. Thankfully, I do have a lot more greens, blues, purples, pinks, browns, and grays to try, but apparently, I'm not a huge fan of red, orange, and yellow. For yellow, I have this top, and I've determined that this is a summer color. So let's see if I can actually tell a difference. To be honest, the results are inconclusive again. I think it also looks fine on me. I don't think it looks particularly bad. But in the grand scheme of things, I think I'm gonna not consider these as much as when I can actually compare the shades. So let's get into green, which is like one of my favorite colors to wear because of my eyes. For blue, I actually have all 4 seasons to try. So starting off with spring, I have this tank top. I can't tell the difference between spring and not spring, so let's compare it to summer. I have both of these shirts that I've determined are summer shades, so I'm gonna compare these to each other because, again, in theory, they should do the same thing for my skin, and then compare it back to spring. Gosh, it's always when I compare it to something else that I see how much I hate the spring shades. Out of spring and summer, definitely summer looks better on me. And then I've determined that this top is in autumn, so I'm going to compare that to the summer. I think I look better in the summer shade of blue and not the autumn shade. So let's compare it to winter. I have these two very different shades that I'd like to try. Okay, I could be totally delusional, but I do think between the two winter shades, one of them actually makes the shadow of my double chin more pronounced, which is very random. This navy blue, I think, actually does impact the way that my chin looks. And so that is very curious. I guess in theory, it makes sense that your clothes would be like reflecting their color back onto your skin. And so if you're wearing a darker top, I guess the shadows underneath your face would be more pronounced. So I guess comparing the 4 seasons, I think summer wins this round. For purple, I have 3 different seasons I want to try, starting off with summer. I don't think I actually like the summer on me that much, but let's compare it to autumn. I don't know what it is about this shirt, but I don't think it looks as good as this one, but at the same time, I am kind of starting to see that this shirt might be making me look a little bit gray. So final season, winter. Dare I say it? I think I like summer the best, even though it makes me look a little bit gray. It also brings out my rosacea the least, so maybe that's why I like it. For pink, I only have spring and summer to compare. I don't think, again, that I look good in this spring. Some of the color analysis TikToks say to focus on the under eye bags, and I feel like when I'm looking at my under eyes in these two colors, the summer does make them look a little bit better maybe, but that, to be honest, is kind of heavy on the maybe. So out of spring and summer, again, I think I look better in summer. For browns and like beiges, I do have one of each season to try, starting with spring. I don't love it and I don't hate it. I don't think there's really anything special about it. So let's compare it to summer. In the spring, I do feel like my double chin is less pronounced, but that is because it's a lighter color. And other than that, I do think the summer still looks better. Yeah, for this one, autumn definitely wins. I think I look much better in this shade. I still think that the autumn top looks better. I think that this winter top is maybe just a little bit too harsh. And now for gray, I have two different seasons to compare, summer and winter. I think I look fine in the summer. I don't think it's doing anything special, but I don't think that it's like ruining my look either. Again, I think winter just looks a little too harsh on me. So I guess now that I've tried all the different shades and all the different seasons, I should, in theory, have a winner and a loser. I think the losers are spring and winter. I just feel like I didn't look as good consistently in those ones, which means that my color palette, I guess, has to either be summer or autumn. The two colors that really stuck out to me that I really liked were the green of the maxi skirt and the brown of that sheer top. And both of those are in the autumn palette. So maybe I'm in autumn, but I think this is somewhere where if you actually saw a difference and if you thought one looked better than the other, feel free to let me know in the comments because I am truly curious. Obviously, I know my face, I know what I look like, and to a stranger that doesn't know my closet and like which colors I wear the most often, I think I could get a little bit more of an unbiased opinion, though my guess would be autumn. Now, of course, I could split the autumn up into its three sections and figure it out from there, but truthfully, I didn't even feel qualified to split up my closet into 4 seasons. Regardless, I think this was actually a lot of fun, and if you've been thinking about doing an at-home color analysis, I would say go for it because this definitely solidified some of the colors that I felt like I liked wearing and looked good in, and now I definitely know jewel tones are not for me.